friends, in my last lecture I explained you about the Karta, man as a Karta of the family. Today I'm just explaining about women as a Karta, a major step towards ending gender discrimination and to stop the gender bias prevalent in families and to improve adverse condition of women in society has been taken in the form of the Hindu Succession Amendment Act 2005. As we know, a Karta is the caretaker of the whole family and looks after the welfare of all members of the family. If male is a Karta, his relationship with other members is a relationship of trust and confidence. So this can happen with the women also. She can also take care of the family. So earlier women were not included as co-partner member, and according to the Hindu sages, only a co-partner can become a karta, and therefore they could not be karta. But now, because of the changed position of daughters as co-partners, the situation is in favor of possibility of women becoming a karta. The landmark Delhi High Court judgment in Mrs. Sujata Sharma versus Sri Manu Gupta has, after the 2005 amendment to Hindu Succession Act, brought the next step to realizing equality of women in the Hindu undivided family. The court found that while females have equal rights to Hindu undivided family, property, they also have the right to manage the same property as Karta. Thus, after demise of father in a Hindu undivided family, if the eldest is a daughter, then she becomes the Karta of the same HUF with the mother and siblings, if any there is, as member of the HUF. Until January 2016, a woman could not be the HUF Karta, but after this landmark case that Delhi High Court ruled in favor of female being the Karta of HUF, so but the same has not been incorporated in the Income Tax Act as yet. Hence, married or unmarried, daughters may not only claim co-partnery in HUF property, but may also claim rights to manage the same HUF property as Karta, provided they are the eldest one of the family. This means that just as a son can be a Karta, by virtue of being born the eldest, a daughter can also be a Karta given that she was born eldest. Also, even after being married, the daughter retains her right to co-partnery and also the right to be Karta. In fact, a woman may even be a de facto Karta in the family where she marries and a de jure Karta in her family of origin, provided that she is a widow and is the only major in the family she married into and is the eldest in her family of origin. With this judgment, the equal rights of daughters in their HUF have been fully realized. Daughters would have the same rights and liability as sons regarding the HUF property for all means and purposes. Court in India have given diverse views regarding this. In the case CP Berai versus Lakshmi Narayan, court held that a widow could be a karta in the absence of adult male members in the family. It was said that the true test is not who transferred the liability of being the karta, but whether the transaction was justified by necessity. It means in that family, it was a necessity that women should take a position of a karta. In the another case, Sushila Devi Rampura versus Income Tax Officer, it was held that when the male members are minors, their expected guardian is their mother, who can represent the HUF for the purposes of assessment and recovery of the income tax, because minor can't handle all these issues. They are not capable. And the very important this case, CIT versus Seth Lakshmi Narayan Raghunath Das. It is notable that the High Court observed that there was no legal prevention against the mother being the de facto manager of the HUF. The court reasoned that since in Daya Bhaga law, a widow may be a co-partner, then she may even be the karta of the family, particularly if she is the only member sui juris left in the family. For Mitakshara law, where along with male co-partner, a female may not be a co-partner because she does not possesses the right of survivorship. The court observed that this right or the status of a co-partner is not a requisite for being the karta of a joint Hindu family to which she been admitted to. In another case, CIT versus Govindram Sugar Mills, the Supreme Court held that a widow cannot be a karta of HUF, though she can be a manager, karta of an HUF for the income tax assessment. So court has a diverse view regarding this issue. Friends, now I'm starting a new topic, divorce. So what is divorce and by what laws in India are they governed by? The Hindu Marriage Act defines divorce as a dissolution of marriage. As per the Merriam-Webster dictionary, divorce means to legally dissolve one's marriage. When a marriage entered into as per the Hindu Marriage Act 1955 gets dissolved and the spouses are free to end their ties with one another, results into the dissolution of marriage, which is termed as divorce. The provision related to the concept of divorce was introduced by Hindu Marriage Act 1955. The Hindu Marriage Act defines divorce as a dissolution of marriage for the interest of the society. The marriage or the marital relationship needs to be surrounded by every safeguard for the cause specified by law. Divorce is permitted only for a grave reason, otherwise given other alternatives. India, being home to diverse communities, has no uniform law on divorce. Ordinarily, divorce laws as per the Hindu Marriage Act 1955 are applicable on Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, and Jains. For Christians, divorce is governed by the Indian Divorce Act 1869. Dissolution of Parsi marriage is regulated by the Parsi Marriage and Divorce Act 1936. Similarly, Muslims have two sources of laws to govern the dissolution of their marriages, which are the uncodified law, Sharia, and Dissolution of Marriage Muslim Marriages Act 1939. Under Hindu Marriage Act, a spouse can file a suit for divorce only after 1 year of marriage, but in exceptional cases of extreme hardship, the High Court can give relief to the aggrieved spouse. As per Section 14 of the Hindu Marriage Act, a general rule, after the Marriage Laws Amendment Act of 1976, the period to move before court for divorce has been reduced to 1 year. Earlier, this period was of 2 years. Therefore, a Hindu person cannot ask for a divorce till the expiry of 1 year from the date of marriage. There are exceptions to this general rule, which says that in case of exceptional hardship, the High Court is empowered to grant leave to file a suit for divorce before the expiry of 1 year. This period is only for these two particular acts and doesn't apply to marriages governed by any other codified or uncodified personal laws. Earlier, the spouses were not allowed to remarry after divorce, but after 1976 amendments, the spouses can marry after a period of 1 year for the date of decree of the divorce, and no other party files a suit against the decree. Till 1976, Hindu Marriage Act did not permit the parties to a marriage dissolved by divorce to remarry until the expiry of 1 year from the date on which the divorce was confirmed. But now, subject to the provisions of the 1976 amendment under Section 15 of the Act, when no further petitions are filed by any of the spouses against the order of divorce and the time for appeal has expired, then the divorced person can marry again. Earlier, this was not allowed. So, on which grounds a person can file for the divorce? There are many grounds as per our Hindu Marriage Act 1955. The Hindu Marriage Act is based on the fall theory in which any one of the aggrieved spouses can approach the court of law and seek the remedy of divorce, section 13 subsection 1 and section 13 subsection 2 provides the ground on which actually these two different sections, section 13 subsection 1 provide grounds to both spouses, but few grounds described in the section 13 subsection 2 are only on which only the wife can approach the court of law and seek the remedy of divorce. There are differences in the grounds on which a person can ask for divorce. These differences depend upon different laws. Like for instance, under Hindu law, divorce can be sought for on the grounds of adultery, cruelty, desertion, etc. While on the other hand, Muslim law, there are only 6 grounds: impotency, cruelty, irregular marriage, non-performance of matrimonial obligations, outcast, and arrangement of marriage by a guardian who is not the biological father. There is great difference in divorce laws in different communities. It is observable that out of all the codified or uncodified laws, the grounds specified for divorce are most exhaustive in the Hindu law and therefore grant a greater remedy for the petitioner spouse.